Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at 10 Pokemon. They're only one move away from becoming meta. So in this series we always kind of take a look at Pokemon that are currently quite bad and nobody uses it, but if they get just a singular move update, they might be top meta. This is an idea to kind of show you which Pokemon you should be definitely keeping in your storage just in case for one move update, because then you can use them and have a lot of success with them. So today we're going to take a look at 10 again. If you want to see another episode of this type of video, then feel free to subscribe to this channel. I can also do one for the Ultra League if you want me to. But yeah, this is going to be now getting close to the end of this season. Luckily, it's an interlude season. Can't wait for a normal one again. So we're going to take a look at some Pokemon here that could be very strong even in the upcoming season. Starting off with one of the most obvious ones, which is actually Luxray. And this is kind of what we're going to have here today. We're going to have a lot of Pokemon that have one particular problem, which is that they have two good moves and one really bad move. And this is the case here for Luxray. Luxray has a Wild Charge and Psychic Fangs. An insane coverage combination there for the Charge moveset for this Pokemon, with Psychic Fangs a move that can drop the opponent's defense, and has a nice bait move, and Wild Charge being Wild Charge, like a very hard-hitting move. It's kind of what you also see already on Morpeko. But, Morpeko is of course Aerial, but Wild Charge and Aerial is quite similar in case of the damage output at least. But generally speaking, Luxray is really cool. It just has Spark, and Spark is really bad. And so if we're going to give this Pokemon a Volt Switch, you all of a sudden have a Pokemon that is dominating the meta. A Pokemon that has not seen any play in any meta so far, so that would be kinda cool, I would say. Luxray definitely deserves kind of that move update here for sure, in my opinion. I definitely think that this is a very good Pokemon generally to have in the meta. I think this this would be totally fine. It wouldn't be too broken, because what you see here is something called a Sim Hero, which means that this Pokemon actually isn't as strong as you see here on the paper. But what is happening is that in a lot of scenarios, you go first apparently for Psychic Fangs, get the bait done correctly, get the shield basically from the opponent, and then one-shot them with a Wild Charge afterwards. This does not always happen in the games itself, so yeah, basically this is kind of changing, I think, a lot of the battles here as well for this Pokemon specifically. That being said though, I think that Luxray would be a great addition with a Volt Switch. Articuno. There are a few legendary Pokemon that I would like to see getting a little bit of love, and Articuno is one of them. Articuno actually has very solid stats for the Great League. If you have one for the Great League, they haven't really been available for quite a while, but I have a Shadow one, I have a non-Shadow one. But Articuno actually has really good stats for the Great League, like honestly, very solid bulk. And with that, it also has access to Icy Wind. The issue is for this Pokemon, actually it misses two good moves. You have Ancient Power here as a coverage move, which has the potential to boost your attack as well as your defense, but it's a 10% chance it barely happens. But also, the cool thing about Ancient Power though is you're going to be able to cover up other Fire-type Pokemon that you are usually being weak to. The alternative option for a coverage move on this Pokemon would be Hurricane, which is a legacy move, which is not the strongest move, but it's at least a nuke move for this Pokemon. But the main issue for this Pokemon itself is the fast move. Ice Shot isn't great. Ice Shot is only really used on one other Pokemon, which is Dugong. And it's down to Dugong's bulk and charge moveset why this move even gets used there at all. And Articuno just doesn't have that benefit. But if you're going to give this Pokemon Peck, all of a sudden, it's going to be actually a meta threat, which is kind of funny. As you're going to see as well, we're going to be able to beat most of the current top meta with just an addition of one fast move. And this is kind of what I would like to see. There are some other Pokemon as well, like the Galarian Zapdos, which also would love to see Peck on it. But this is one of those Pokemon where I would really like to see that, because I feel like that is not broken by any means. Like, you're still going to completely lose, by the way, against Bastion. But this Pokemon itself is not broken in any kind of way. It's just a very solid Pokemon now that hasn't been really seeing play prior. The thing is though, because Articuno hasn't been available for Great League level for quite a while, I assume they don't want to do this change in order to make things kind of fair, as a lot of people don't have this Pokemon under 1500 CP. Alright, Escavalier. This Pokemon was actually very solid at one point. Escavalier had access to Counter, a move that was actually very strong for it, and it was a very cool meta breaker, especially in limited metas. The typing itself is actually amazing, and Steel as well as Bug type, you're going to be only weak to one singular type, which is Fire. It's double weakness, but still, it's only Fire type Pokemon, which makes it a very nice defensive Pokemon, and with that as well, it has a ton of great coverage. Here, currently, it's running Bug Bite, Drill Run, as well as Razor Shell, which is interesting as Razor Shell is pretty bad, but yeah, we're still gonna stick with it. But if you have a Fury Cutter over Bug Bite, you're going to be actually kind of fine here getting to those moves a little bit faster, and your average rating increases by quite a lot. Your wins just increase by quite a lot. And I don't even think that the Razor Shell is the best move to have on this Pokemon, as it also learns something like the Mega Horn, which would do a ton of damage. But then again, even if you give it another coverage move, it would be even stronger then. But generally speaking, I do think that the Escavalier is a fantastic Pokemon if you would give it Fury Cutter, which just helps it out with generating the energy faster while having also another stab move. Snorlax is most likely a Pokemon that you didn't really expect on this list here, but I was looking at Snorlax and was like, this Pokemon needs to be somewhere. Currently, Snorlax isn't used by anyone, by literally anyone. And honestly, Snorlax would have plenty of opportunities and plenty of options in order to be good again, because the moveset that this Pokemon learns, because it's a Gen 1 Pokemon with a lot of love towards it as well, is kind of so wide, it is ridiculous. You can basically learn nearly any move with it, but I will add a Mudslap, which is quite a lame approach towards things, truthfully, but it is the best approach towards it. You just need a better fast move on Snorlax's Body Slam Superpower is actually really good coverage and really good charge moveset, but the fast move Lick is kind of lackluster, while the fast move of a Mudslap is going to allow you to actually even have potential with Snorlax in the open Great League, and of course also in the Ultra League as well as in the Master League, which would be kind of cool for Snorlax. Give it Mudslap, would be an interesting Mudslapper as in just normal type Pokemon. Next up is going to be Whiscash. This Pokemon itself, just doesn't really have anything going for it anymore. There are so many water and ground type Pokemon in Pokemon GO that are all very solid, and they're all a little bit better than Whiscash right now. That Whiscash itself doesn't really see too much play. It's a very cheap Pokemon to build though, which is kind of cool for a lot of people, but it just lacks something. And it was one time actually a complete meta domination with this Pokemon. It was crazy when Marshall was stronger, when Scald was stronger in multiple different kind of ways, but it got nerfed quite heavily, and is the reason why Mudshot is so bad now as well. But in order for this Pokemon to actually have any kind of play again, what you would need to have is a new move. In this case, Chilling Water. Only recently added in 2 community days, with the Florges getting it for the first time in, I think it was September, as well as now in the next community day in February, where the Knight is going to get this move. Any other Pokemon doesn't really have it, but on Whiscash it actually would make a lot of sense, because Whiscash isn't having any very cheap water type move generally, like Gold is 50 energy, while for example Quagsire has like Aqua Tail, which is just stronger, where you're going to have Swampert with the Hydro Cannon, which is just stronger. Here, Chilling Water actually helps. It helps actually quite a bit, as we see here as well. This Pokemon is going to get quite a bit better. And then again, you have also the option just to utilize this Pokemon a bit better for the team efforts, because you're going to be able to just leave Pokemon with a debuff on them already, which then allows your rest of the team to kind of sweep up. So I do think that this would be actually a really good addition to Whiscash. Having Chilling Water, a guaranteed debuffing move, would be very, very cool. And it's going to be a tiny bit cheaper than the Scald as well. This is basically my favorite Pokemon that I would like to get buffed here in this list, or just generally. Enter Conkeldurr. And why Conkeldurr? Because there is the strongest fast move in the game that no Pokemon is actually using, which is Force Palm. It is stronger than Mudslap, it's stronger than Astonish, which is wild if you think about it. But basically nobody's using it because there's no good Pokemon that can learn it. And there's only a few Pokemon that can actually learn Force Palm. One of them is Conkeldurr. And Conkeldurr is one more thing going forward, and that is Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing is not only a very cheap move to have, it is also an answer for Ghost type Pokemon, which are of course the nemesis of any kind of fighting type Pokemon. So what you have here is now actually a Pokemon with Force Palm that is going to generate energy quite fast, utilize the cheaper Brutal Swing, does a lot of damage with the fast move, but then I also have the nuke move of Dynamic Punch on it, which even allows it in the Great League to perform really, really well. And the same goes for all the other leagues as well, which would make Conkeldurr actually usable without breaking anything at all. Medicham is going to be next. This Pokemon here is definitely needing a little bit of an update. This Pokemon dominated the meta for like 20 seasons straight, and then then disappeared with the counter nerf and never came back afterwards. And I feel like Medicham deserves a little bit more love. And I want to give it Confusion. Confusion is a move that this Pokemon can learn, but well, we see here as well on the right side actually the win rate itself doesn't change and the loss doesn't change, I do think that this Pokemon would have a little bit more play with it because you're going to be quite a bit more neutral with it. You're going to be better say-so with it. But yeah, it is generally an idea. There are a lot of other things that Medicham can learn. It's actually one of the only Force Palm users as well. I would like Force Palm more than the Confusion, but because I already talked about this in previous videos as well, Confusion is just an alternative option for Medicham. I don't think that Force Palm would be better. I do think that it would need to have a little bit more of better Psychic-type coverage move as well. But yeah, this could be something for in the future. I do think that Medicham, though, deserves a little bit of love again. I know that a lot of people are maybe even still sick of this Pokemon. I actually would love to see this Pokemon coming back again, because I feel like the meta itself wasn't that bad when this Pokemon was around. Okay, this might be a bit broken. Shiftry with Sucker Punch. Currently, Shiftry isn't really great, but the thing that makes Shiftry interesting is that it has an insane tech stat as well as Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade, one of the strongest moves in the game, if not the strongest move, with only 35 energy and 70 damage. It's kind of wild with no drawback. And then you're going to have here a Pokemon with a lot of attack already. If you give it Sucker Punch, you're going to have actually way better pacing, and this is going to be something to see as well. This Pokemon goes up to, yeah, a way better win rate. I do think that Shiftry is still fine even like this, but yeah, Shiftry would be an absolute meta breaker like this as well. I would like to see the Sucker Punch on this Pokemon. I think it would be fantastic, but we can move on to the next one. Mawile learns Dynamic Punch. I didn't know that. I just looked at like Pokemon that I wanted to see if they can get an update or something like this. And Dynamic Punch on the Mawile makes so much sense. This is actually a move that Mawile learns by a level up. So like you don't need a TM or anything like this. It's not artificial at all. It's just like something that this Pokemon learns anyway. And Dynamic Punch would make this a whole different story for this Pokemon. Because all of a sudden you have something unique going for you. You have something that other fairy type Pokemon can't do. And this is where I find it interesting. And here is why I feel like that Mawile, with this specific moveset especially, is going to be a very solid Pokemon here if it would get released. But of course, the Dynamic Punch is going to be the issue here. Not yet on this Pokemon, but hopefully in the future. And the final one is going to be Delphox. We talked about it in the episode of Shadow Delphox already. Yeah, this Pokemon needs Incinerate. Like, it needs it so bad. Basically, what is happening here is that Fire Spin just doesn't cut it. Like, Fire Spin is such a bad move. If you have the option to go for either Ember or for the Incinerate, I think Incinerate would be better for this Pokemon because you have now the Shadow bonus on top of it. And you have Psyshock, which is a perfect pacing there. But also Ember would make this Pokemon way stronger. And so this is something that I would to kind of shout out here as well. Because as we see as well, the aero trading is really solid for it if it gets Incinerate. This is still kind of what you need to have. And this is also going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like and I will see you then. Bye bye.